We had the Cotillion going on today. We had the Impaler Aftermath going on today. The thing I ended up most invested in was Jessica and Tyrell. What is up, fellow Beyond the Gates viewers? Here to talk about today's Wednesday episode of the show. We're coming off of yesterday's pretty great episode into today's episode. I can't call it great. In fact, I would call it underwhelming. I fear that's just the truth. And I will break down why I think so. But let's first talk about the Cotillion, which we had Deanna announcing who the Platinum Deb was. We had drunk Nathan walking around. And then Deanna announces there was a tie. Then she opens the envelope, and there was some sort of tiebreaker. But she opened the envelope, and she looked at the name, and she said something wasn't right. Chessy was the name on the envelope, and Deanna says it must be a mistake. Danny and Kat were pissed. The Duprees were really wanting to get to the bottom of what was going on. How dare Chessy win over Samantha? Anastasia wants to move on with the crowning. Upset with Deanna for not wanting to read Chessy's name. But Deanna says that when she won, the name was on the note in gold. And right now, Chessy's name was spelled wrong or something. There was a K in it somewhere. Anastasia said that the Almighty's Dupree did not win, and that's why everyone is being biased right now. And Anastasia crowned Chessy herself. But Donnell found the card in drunk Nathan's pocket. And then Deanna made a phone call to the person that was in charge of the Cotillion, and Donnell handed Deanna the card, and Deanna announced the winner, Samantha, which I'm happy that Samantha won, especially over Chessy. I do feel like it was the boring route to go, and I think Jessica would have been the better winner. It was the easy way out, which is what I always expect from the writers on this show, which is exactly what happened here. So Nathan was escorted out, saying he did this for Chessy in his drunkenness. And Chessy had to give Samantha the sash and the crown and basically was humiliated thanks to her stupid grandma. If they are going to keep Chessy and Anastasia around, they're going to have to actually give them some layers. I don't even know if Anastasia can be fixed at this point. She's such a one-note character. Chessy at least did the right thing in the end here, so there is still hope for her character. I would like them to invest more in the younger characters. I think there's a lot of potential with them all. I think they could get some good summer stories out of them, which is what soap operas used to do to gain younger viewers. I think it's something they could hone in on, and they have a good group of characters to do that. But they actually have to put the time and effort into doing that. At first, Deanna was warming up to Vanessa, which I hated. She wanted to see if Vanessa wanted to go out for ice cream later, but Joey called her with news about Jacob, which we'll get to in a while. But I do want to talk about a few other things from the Cotillion. We had Samantha dancing with Martin and Smitty. This was happening when Vanessa told Naomi, and Naomi ran out, so Smitty, who's been involved with the Impaler storyline this whole time, of course knows something is up with Naomi running out, but he has to stay there and dance. I don't know if I love the fact that Smitty was not a part of this climax, though, because we had a lot of wasted, boring episodes having to watch Smitty go and see Jacob in these bad disguises. One thing I did like at the Cotillion, though, was that June was walking around like Stone Cold Steve Austin in her heels, like I said in the watch-along, which I think is great acting, because that is how I would perceive June to be walking around in heels at this fancy smancy party, so I love that. Ted and Kat had a pretty cute little dance together as father and daughter. And Jessica's parents let Martin know that they haven't seen Tyrell and Jessica for a while, and Martin even said that Tyrell was able to ditch the security telling them, so they confronted Martin and Smitty about, where does your son have our daughter? Well, it turns out Jessica actually brought Tyrell to her family's beach house, which is where she goes when her dad pisses her off. I think they did a good thing showing us Jessica's parents finally, so that we could actually see Jessica's point of view, why she felt the way she did about the Cotillion, why she was rebelling about that, why she wants to go to the other side of the country to shitty UCLA to get away from her parents, all that makes sense. And actually, we had the Cotillion going on today. We had the Impaler Aftermath going on today. The thing I ended up most invested in was Jessica and Tyrell. I think they can really be a good young couple on this show if, once again, they actually put the time to invest in the both of them and give them obstacles and give them this storyline, which they're kind of starting up here. They talked about the Cotillion at first. Ty was hoping that Samantha won. She asked if maybe they should have stayed, if he regrets leaving, but he didn't. They ended up making out. They were both asking each other if they were ready. Of course, we learned that Jessica, this is not her first time. Tyrell doesn't know if he knows what he's doing. He wants to take it slow. Jessica walks him through it step by step. And in the end, they did do the deed. And I'm kind of happy for Tyrell that he did the deed. They also talked about, in the afterglow of their sex, about Jessica leaving and how they're only going to be seeing each other on breaks. I do want Jessica to stay, but I don't want Jessica to get knocked up. So I don't know how I want them to get out of the storyline, but I feel like it might be Jessica gets pregnant. That also leads to tension with her parents, tension between Martin and Smitty. We'll see how it plays out, though. I do think they need to keep Jessica on the show, though, because I think there is some very strong potential in a younger couple storyline with Jessica and Tyrell. But the storyline has to be there, and the investment of time has to be there. At the warehouse, Elon was panicking that Jacob was hit. As I called yesterday, he just hit his head. Derek was the one shot, which was also kind of easy to call after these last couple of episodes. It was only this week that they set up the potential for Derek to die, though, after months of making us suffer in the Impaler storyline with these characters that I do not enjoy watching even a tiny bit. I'm talking about Jacob, I'm talking about Ashley, I'm talking about Grayson, Naomi. They've tortured us with those characters, but they decide to kill off Derek instead. Marcel arrested Leah, so Leah's being arrested. I'm sure that's how they're going to write Leah out. Derek was a hero, I guess. He jumped in front of the bullet for Jacob. Jacob says that he's fine, but it's because of Derek who saved him. Derek came to talk to Jacob a little bit. Let's see what else. Elon let Grayson go for now, so we are stuck with Grayson, which is I do not like at all, which I'll get to, I guess, if I feel like it. They brought Derek to the hospital. Of course, Ashley was at work with Shanice. Ashley had to be there to see Derek willed in again. I feel like this is the second or third time that Derek's been willed in with Ashley at work. Talk about rinse and repeat. Derek told Ashley that he loves her. And yeah, this is when the episode kind of really went downhill because we had to deal with Ashley struggling to cry. We had to deal with Ashley yelling at Leah, calling her a bitch and that it's her fault, and Jacob trying to calm Ashley down. We had to deal with Ashley and Grayson talking about it. Grayson talking about how he applied pressure. He did all he could for Derek. And Ashley learned that it's because of Grayson stealing the blood plasma that Derek followed him in the first place, although it's really because Grayson told Derek that Ashley's life could be in danger. So Ashley had a little breakdown to discover that Derek only followed Grayson because of her. Really nauseating stuff. And I will say this. I've said for a long time Derek's dead weight, and Derek is dead weight. So on one hand, it is good to see the show finally rid of some dead weight. But it was not the right choice. I can name probably 5 names that are worse dead weight than Derek has been. Ashley, and of course Tomas would be on the top of my list probably. I've been preaching this for so long. What this show has done is that they wasted the potential for Derek this whole time while trying to make Ashley happen. And those are just the facts, because When Ashley and Derek first broke up, they put Derek with Shanice. They tested that. There was actually chemistry there. That could have been a route that they went. They decided not to. They decided to put Ashley back with Derek, where Ashley didn't want Derek back, but acted like she did. Blamed him for everything when the guy couldn't walk. Then the guy learns how to walk. He finally is able to walk again. Ashley's mad that he lied for the fact that he could walk. Then when we have Ashley in this relationship with Grayson that has been so fucking absurd that after just a few times having sex and just like one date, Grayson was going to give Ashley the power of attorney over his mother. Nobody cannot sit there and tell me the stupidity of all of this and act like I'm going to sit here and root for Ashley and Grayson. Now we have to deal with Derek's death on top of that. Honestly, it is something that makes me want to turn the channel when the show is on, but I'm doing these watch-alongs. But man, I might have to search the spoilers and not do watch-alongs when I see Ashley or Grayson in the story, in the spoilers, because that's how much I hate what we're going to have to sit through for future Ashley and Grayson storylines. And they're still trying to make Grayson out to be this hero. He matches Derek's blood. He was going to donate blood to Derek. In the end, though, Derek's dead. So I feel like it's the bad decision to cut Derek on the dead weight part when there's more dead weight they could have cut. But it's a cop-out for the fucking Impaler storyline. It is. They tortured us for months with this poorly written storyline that's all over the place. There's no rhyme or reason. A lot of stuff doesn't make sense. People are stabbed, able to walk everywhere. Not good writing whatsoever in this storyline. And on top of that, the person that ends up dying in the end wasn't even a part of the storyline, really. Abysmal decision making at the top here. I think the producers need to be called out too. We call out the writers all the time online and on this channel. But the producers are the people that really make decisions. And I don't think they're making the greatest decisions this year. Anyway, Derek dying is not a big loss, but it did render the Impaler storyline a waste of our time. And there's other characters that I wish I didn't have to watch, but they shoved down our throats. Ashley, the biggest one, besides maybe Trash. Randy called Joey. Somehow Randy got out of the police car, was able to call Joey, tell him what was happening, tell him about Elon and Marcel grilling him. That's how Joey was able to call Vanessa and tell her that something went down at the warehouse and to tell Naomi. Luckily, Vanessa opened her big, trashy mouth talking to Donnell, happy that Donnell was wearing Joey's cufflinks. This was in front of Deanna, who was upset that Donnell was wearing the cufflinks right next to Dad's watch. So Deanna was warming up to Vanessa, not so much after this conversation. In this episode, again, Donnell looked like such a loser to me. They insist on writing every single guy on this show as stupid or weak. Donnell, another big example of that. I thought he was weak with Vanessa again here. He's whining to Deanna that she needs to stop fighting Vanessa because she turns to Joey. Deanna called Donnell out on sucking up to Joey. Donnell says that Joey has been Vanessa's lifeline and that's why he does that. Vanessa, of course, had to run away from everyone to go to Joey. Wants Joey to clear things up and be honest about what he knew, how he knew what happened, and if he was deeply involved. Joey says he's not deeply involved, just one of his guys was in the vicinity, and Jacob's name was dropped, so that's why he called Vanessa. And then they had kind of the same dialogue they've been having for months. Joey doesn't think Vanessa should, be so close to him. There should be these boundaries. Vanessa doesn't want the boundaries. Rinse and fucking repeat. So it's been a better week. I did not think today was a strong episode, though, overall. And I don't know how tomorrow's episode is going to be, especially if we have to watch Ashley grieve more and struggle to grieve more at that with lack of tears. I'm hoping for a big Friday cliffhanger because of the spoilers, but it could be a disappointment with this show. But at least we are having a better week. That's the best I could say, especially after 4 or 5 weeks of pure boredom.